Hello, good morning. Welcome to Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is DUMSOR. It's a pleasure coming your way. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here on Inside Pages. Essentially what we do is that we look through the pages of the newspapers. We bring you what we believe is the most topical issue. We invite the relevant guests and ask them the right questions. And this morning it's not going to be any different. So we all know that we are in some kind of a power crisis. I mean, you wake up every day and your light is off, and sometimes it's off for 6 hours, sometimes for 12 hours, and so on, and there's some consistency. Now, the power generators or the utility service providers, most of them are not talking, apart from the ECGs that has spoken a couple of times. But the ECG and the government on one side are telling us that there is no DUMSOR, there's no load shedding. They're insisting that these are localized faults, and at best, these are system disturbances. We don't actually know what that means. But then you have CSOs who play within the power and the energy sector who are telling us that we have a real problem. We have some serious challenges that we ought to confront. We have serious challenges that we ought to deal with. And they say that we have a generation problem. Yeah, we have a generation deficit close to about 600 megawatts, and that the government should come clean and tell Ghanaians what exactly is the reason why we're shedding so much load, for which reason we're unable to get consistent supply of electricity. So it's been the back and forth, but at the end of the day, we the consumers know what we're going through, and we ought to continue to ask the question, why aren't we getting consistent supply of power? Why the outages, why the disruptions, and so on. And so that's the conversation we intend to have when my resource persons join me on Inside Pages today. And then secondly, we woke up, I think, Thursday morning or so, and then we noticed that no internet. I mean, internet is not working. We can't access data. In some cases, even to put through a call was becoming a major problem. Then we found out a little later in the day from statements that have been issued by the mobile network operators and the telecoms chamber that there's some undersea cable challenges that has caused these disruptions. And then it raises the question that are we safe going forward? I mean, this certainly is a national security concern. And the question which has been asked is, can you imagine if this had happened on the 7th of December, where everybody's sitting in their homes and waiting for results on their mobile phone or whichever device that you're using, and then you're told that there's some undersea cable disruptions which has culminated in why we can't access internet and so on. And you can imagine the kind of chaos that would happen in this country. And so we need to do something about it before the unexpected happens. So we're going to have a conversation with an IT consultant, an IT professional who would help us understand what exactly happened on that day and the lessons that we ought to learn from there going forward. My name is DUMSOR. Thank you very much for tuning in, for choosing us. This is Inside Pages. This is Metro Television. You will never regret your day. When I come back, I'll tell you what the WhatsApp line is, and I'll introduce my resource person. Stay tuned in.
By February of 2016, the flows had started coming because this was October, November. And we knew, the potential of ESLA to clear the debt. Then we had a term sheet for $600 million US. Afrexim was the lead bank, to pay clear the debt owed to the IPPs, which have external connections, Solar Assembly, and the rest. And it was estimated that within 3 to 5 years, ESLA should have sufficient money
to clear the debt.
And if they clear the debt, this was one of the reasons we hesitated to bring down the banks, because then it would have gone to change the non-performing loan, because this was an agreement with both foreign banks and local banks. Fast forward 2017. What happened? After this assurance, we come home and we collateralize the revenue. There may be nothing in principle with collateralizing, because if you collateralize the ESLA revenue, we had said we're going to spread it over 3 to 5 years to pay. If you collateralize, it means that you have the lump sum, right, to clear the debt, and then use the ESLA flows to pay for the loan, right? So either way, whether you look it from the perspective of the Mahama administration or from the perspective of, His Excellency Nana's, administration, that debt should have been cleared. It's pure and simple, right? It wasn't cleared, right? So what did we do, with the collateralized amount? That is the question. Today, it has become part of, debt exchange, which means that it didn't go for the purpose.
Amidst calls for a load shedding timetable from citizens, the Electricity Company of Ghana has cautioned citizens to brace themselves for more outages. According to the Power Distribution Company, the outages have become necessary due to the increased demand on some 630 transformers nationwide. This has led to blown fuses and broken conductors in its transformers. However, business owners in Teshi are already reeling under the effects of the power outages.
Like no to me doom baby, no maso baby, to me doom baby, no maso baby. Sometimes I have me flage about Kubi Kura or Kulano. As a niece is soon to doom light in the sun so I'm fine, no, I about form cranty. And then 3 days in a mema prepare a baby shama me.
For Bernard, his new poultry business has suffered major setbacks due to the unstable power supply.
They have to dump about 6-day-old chickens. Some are incubator. Because of the light off, I have to go and throw off. Even yesterday, 3 days today, I have to carry an incubator from this house to another place just to give it to a brother to put it on fire because they have started beeping up for hatchery. The light is disturbing us a lot. I must be honest and sincere with you.
Last week, we even slept in it about 3 nights, 3 days. And with that, I couldn't even work. So I pleaded with the engineer of the Ghana Electricity Company just to come and work on the transformer for us. So they brought a new transformer and they changed it. Ever since that, we are just assessing it to see how it's going to help us. So they changed it about 2 days ago.
Right. So there you have it. Francis has another story compared to what we heard from Konko. Konko said his light has been unstable for the past 3 weeks. Francis here says his light has been stable for the past 2 days since the transformer has been changed. And so here are some entrepreneurs or business people who heavily depend on electricity to function here at Teshi. My name is Ethel Poplampo, reporting from Teshi.
Teshi lies in the coast of Accra and has a huge population. Residents have not been spared the power outages, running businesses down. Auntie B is a cold store dealer. He has done this business for decades and it is her main source of livelihood. She has lost many customers due to the power outages because she is unable to stock up fish or meat due to the outages. She laments how stocks had gone bad.
Na kani nimbi hwa ka jengme jigbete na bongbe ka gbe ka sun nimba hwa fish ni yo fen eseli.
Cold store fish is what I sell. When I came to work today, there was no light and it has been consistent for some days now. The fishes in my fridge has melted and I cannot also tell if the light will be back soon. If it is not turned on, all the fishes will go bad, which will cause a loss in the business, and ECG is not saying anything to us.
For Ishmael Kwe, who is self-employed, charging his phone and his power bank to stay in touch with clients has become a headache. He told us how he irons the school uniforms of his children.
It's a challenge, and for some of us that are self-employed, it's really, really frustrating. If you charge your phone, you must as well charge your power bank. If you miss any of them, the following day, no business for you. Because where can they reach you? It's by the phone. My wife is a seamstress, and now this morning she has to be in the house because there's DUMSOR where the shop is. It's difficult. Sometimes we have to do improvisation. What would we do when I mean improvisation? We have to put a 40 iron on a gas stove, heat it for some time before we come and press. And you know the challenges with up and down gas issues. But this is what we have to do in the meantime.
Residents say the light went out yesterday at 6 p.m. and was restored at 4 a.m.
When it's like that, it worries like me like this. If I'm working, if the light is off, so there's nothing I will do again. I'm a fashion designer. So if the light is off, then you have to close. Then that means that day you won't have any money. Actually, the light is expensive. The way we normally buy light those days is not like these days, but we are trying our best to buy the light. But after we buy, we don't have enough light to work.
For many residents of Tishi, the impact of businesses is huge and many are running at a loss due to this. Neither the ECG nor the Ghana Gridco has spoken about the power outages. Many customers have asked for a load-shedding timetable, but the power suppliers have refused to come up with anything like that.
The resultant of the power outage left many trapped in the elevator in the building. It took the deputy minority leader, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, to call the fire service personnel to force the elevator open 30 minutes later after he was notified of some occupants trapped in.
In this parliament, the only place we have light is this chamber. The whole parliamentary building is off. In fact, as I speak, 5 and 6 floor, we have people stuck in it. I just got the fire service to run in there. So it's important we know what is happening around us. The light is off, except for this chamber, and I don't want them to pretend. Some people are stuck in the lift. On the 5th and 6th floor. In fact, I just came in because we just got the fire service people to try to get them open the elevator. And it's very serious. And I think this house, before we continue doing business, we must know the crisis we face.
Offices within the facility went dark, making it difficult for occupants to identify each other. Earlier, lights and gadgets in the chamber went off for more than 5 minutes when the Deputy Finance Minister, Abnaose Asari, was on the floor fiercely defending the State of the Nation address delivered by the President on Tuesday. The occurrence disrupted proceedings, causing the minority to begin chanting. The lights returned following the activation of the standby generator. The Legislative House is currently operating on the standby generator, which is able to facilitate only the chamber. Although the First Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei-Owusu, has directed that the ECG be engaged immediately to resolve the matter, leadership of the House is being tight-lipped on questions by the media over why Parliament has to face such situation. Members of Parliament are likely not to show up for Friday's business if the situation remains unresolved.
When it comes to electricity, we've been challenged for some time. Before His Excellency got into office, we faced a situation where we literally had 3 days of 1 day on or half day on electricity.
Is that what you call DUMSOR?
That is the only Ghanaian.
That's the only Ghanaian word I know.
But we've moved from DUMSOR, my brother. We've moved from DUMSOR. We are at the situation called DUMCAC. But we also have 88.75 electricity access rate in the country. Huge country. And we are starting to feel the effects of taking electricity to almost all the countries. But because we came from such a challenged position, a lot of contracts were signed to bring on energy. But when you look at the electricity value chain, it's not only generation. You have to supply the generators with the fuel. And then you hear solar, you hear wind. Some are even talking about geothermal, nuclear, gas, crude oil, coal. And we can talk about all these sources of fuel for electricity generation. Africa abounds in all of them. Yet, we are the most energy poor continent in the world. And we pay the highest for energy or electricity in the world.
Why are we today still paying the most for energy and we're still energy poor and we cannot really deliver?
It's not rocket science. We think in African ways. And the ways we've been brought up to think is that produce and export. That's all the way Africans do. But rather, even now that we are all aware of energy transition, we are still thinking about produce and export. Not produce and utilize in Africa to make Africa better. Not a single country in Africa thinks about Africa, that country that is in. So when you even go to their trade shows or their expo shows and things, it's always how much can we export? Check. It's called export. Never use. When we found oil, intentionally or unintentionally, our only refinery just when we started getting oil on commercial basis. Why? To further export. Before this government got into power, that's why I like the question. All our generating plants were liquid fuel. All of them. All of them. All of them use liquid fuel. Since this government came, all of them use gas. We have hydro as a backup. We have always had hydro. But it's been gas, gas, gas. We are not only talking about commercializing gas. We are using gas. We've used gas so much so that now we are short of gas ourselves. So we live by it and we don't get the credit for it. 30% or 35% of all our electricity is produced from hydro sources. We don't get any credit for it because the white man will tell you, or the West will tell you, that is legacy hydro. Right?
Yes.
And not long before the COVID pandemonium, not long before this energy transition stuff, you couldn't even get investment into hydro, which Africa abounds. On one of only Africa's many rivers, the hydro potential can supply the whole of Africa with electricity. But we got no investment. We got no investment. When you talk about uranium as a fuel, the cleanest energy produced is produced from probably nuclear. Cleanest. Almost all the uranium assets are in Africa, or 40% is in Africa. When you go to Niger, it is one of their biggest resources. But they have no nuclear plant. Even South Africa that had a nuclear plant, I'm not sure it was still working when the black man took charge. So we continue to produce.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has announced that several health facilities may experience power outages within 3 days if they fail to settle their outstanding bills. Prominent hospitals such as Rich Hospital in the Greater Accra region, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, the 37 Military Hospital, Konfu Anoche and Mensha Government Hospitals in the Ashanti region, Ho Teaching Hospital in the Volta region and Chebi Government Hospital in the Eastern region are among establishments facing the risk of disconnection.
Actually, we saw the demand notices today and we have given them 3 working days, after which, if they don't pay, we'll disconnect all the administrative blocks after the 72 hours, which is 3 working days.
The acting general manager of the Electricity Company of Ghana Task Force and Special Operations, Ismail Oku, emphasized during an interview on Metro News that if these facilities fail to respond within 72 hours, they would face complete disconnection throughout the entire facility.
When we disconnect the administrative blocks, what we'll do is that we'll give them another 72 hours and then the whole facility will go down. We are very sensitive when it comes to the health facilities, but this is what it is. Let's assume that Gridco goes down. The whole facility will go off, but yet they have standbys to operate. So we are starting with the 72 hours for them to be able to clear their indebtedness to us. If they don't, like I said, we'll put off the administrative blocks and then we'll give them another 72 hours. And if they don't also, then we'll go ahead to put the whole facility off.
This action is part of ECG's extensive initiative to collect old funds from customers and enhance its operational capacity.
Chairman, I'm not so sure whether ESLA funds have not been managed transparently. Because every year the report is submitted to Parliament in accordance with law. And whatever the revenues that have come in and the expenditure that has been expended out of that is reported to Parliament. There's always a debate on it. A report of the committee is adopted by the House. Yes, you make reference of ESLA proceeds that go into the ESLA fund, but then again, the Ministry of Finance pays for the commodity price of Jubilee and 10, and now Sankofa, Jubilee and 10 post foundation. All that is money that is coming from the ESLA, and so I'm not so sure whether the attribution that is being mismanaged is entirely correct. Thank you.
You know that we are still stuck with 3 producing fields. And even though a lot of work is being done, we have not actually added a major producing field. And we are stuck with this producing field, which production has really gone close to 50%. I know it's a cause for concern. What are the reasons why the investors are not coming?
Chairman, I'm sure that you're very much aware that prior to the Russian war, major OECD countries had taken a decision to move away from oil and gas exploration financing. And so that itself impacted investment in oil and gas across the world. Post or during the war, it became apparent that energy security was also critical as opposed to energy transition. And so the refocus in oil and gas exploration has started again. Of course, the Jubilee Southeast project that was done added 30,000 barrels of oil to our daily production, and that's significant. We've approved, under the leadership of the minister, the ACA, now PECAN plan of development, and we expect that it will reach FID by June of this year. And see
that's not a new production, it's just an expansion of the Greater Jubilee. Is that correct?
There's a new development within the Jubilee field, and that in itself is an addition to the field. Increase our reserves to about 160,000 barrels per day today. And
power crisis in the country is worsening by the day as there is no clear plan in sight to curb the menace. Embarrassing situations such as power outage in Parliament during President's State of the Nation address debate, as well as numerous communities facing erratic power supply for several weeks without prior notice from ECG, are but few hints of the crisis. Speaking on Good Morning Ghana, Member of Parliament for Bongo, who doubles as an Energy Committee member, Edward Barr says service providers must provide a timetable going forward.
It is only fair that you allow the distributor to bring out a schedule so that people can plan their lives around it. So if I were to get up today and then know that I'm going to have lights off in the evening, I should ensure that in the afternoon I get my things ironed, maybe things that I need to do. So at least I'll be, even though there's discomfort, I'll be able to plan my life around the schedule that is being given to me by the what do you call it, the distributor. But the reason why they cannot publish that is because they are victims of their own utterances in the past.
Former Member of Parliament for Okaikwe North, Fusaini Issa, however, attributed the power crisis to lack of investment in the energy sector, but added that the government has managed to keep power on.
We are having all these challenges because of some gas supply issues in Tema, some local faults like it happened in Malam over the weekend, and a plethora of others. But we have been promised by the managers of the system, whatever it takes and whatever it's going to take to make sure that we don't go back to that era. Prior to 2017, we are going to do it and the lights are going to be on.
Joining the conversation, host of Metro TV's flagship show, Dr. Randy Albe says the deceitful nature by which the power crisis is.
All right, welcome back. We've just been building the momentum towards what definitely will be a very interesting conversation this morning. And it's all about whether it's DUMSOR, whether it's DUMCACA, whether it's a system disturbance, whether it's load shedding, whatever it is. But the consumer's experience is what for us is more important. Two of my resource persons have joined us. My guest, Mr. Kojopoku, will also be joining us. Now, Mr. Kojopoku is an energy consultant, but also a member of the New Patriotic Party. He'll be here to tell us what his party, government, knows about what's happening, and then also to explain why we keep getting this intermittent or these power disruptions. And so that's that. He's going to be joining us shortly. But for now, we have the Honourable Member of Parliament, a hard-working Member of Parliament for the Buem constituency, the Honourable Kofi Adams, who is taking time off his very busy schedule to join us. We're so grateful that he's been able to make it. Honourable, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for the invitation.
Right, it's always a pleasure. And also, Nane Ajantwa is a former General Secretary of the CPP, but also is, I think, Executive Secretary
I was the director for PR and
Exactly, and also a former
in
director
charge of all
at
the
PURC in charge of communications and stakeholder management. Absolutely. So she's more than capable and more than competent to comment on this matter. In fact, it is in that capacity and, of course, other capacity. That's why she's here. You also do know that she's been very vocal about the project Ghana. She's very passionate about Ghana. So regardless of where, if it's wrong for her, if it's right, it's right. And one of the reasons why we like inviting her on the show. And Nanaya, so we're always happy to have you here. So I'll start with you, Nanaya. And then the reason I'm starting with you is that you have been in this industry before. I'm sure that you're still keeping a very close eye on happenings within the space. What do you think is happening? I mean, we have a situation where ECG and the government are on one side, and they're telling us that this is not load shedding, this is not DUMSOR, and that is only system disturbance. We have the PURC who aren't even talking at all. I mean, they've been very quiet. And so everybody's confused. What's happening? I mean, I don't know what you've also been picking up as to exactly what the problem is. And what do you expect? I mean, as somebody who's been there before, the PURC should have been doing for us, the consumer, into protecting our interest.
Good morning, Mo. Good morning to your viewers, and good morning to my brother and comrade, Honorable Kofi Adams.
Thank you.
My dear, what is going on is it is DUMSOR.
A DUMSOR?
Of course, because I don't even want to talk. I don't even know what to say. I don't know why the government is trying to, as much as possible, to let us believe that it is not DUMSOR.
Explain what your understanding of DUMSOR is.
You see, DUMSOR is a situation where your light goes off over a certain designated time. We named it like that.
Okay.
Load shedding. You get me?
Right.
Load shedding. If you are shedding load, you have a specificity to it.
Right.
So it starts at 12. Your light goes off at 12. It comes on at 12. That's about 12 hours, isn't it? For instance, there was a day last week that my friend, Nanekia Avle, Hayford Avle.
Yes, one of the NDC communicators.
One of the NDC communicators.
Right.
Her lights went off at the afternoon, 12 o'clock.
Right.
And came on at 8 a.m. the next day.
From what time?
12 in the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
Yes.
And came back at 8 p.m.
8 a.m.
the
following day.
That's more than 12 hours.
Yes. So she even called me. That's how I know, and said that, Nana, my light has been off since 12 yesterday.
Right.
And I thought it was a normal shedding and it will finish at 12.
Okay.
But it extended to the next morning.
Wow.
So she found out, and she was told that Gridco has what? They have dropped power. Anytime Gridco is involved, either it's a systems collapse or it is load shedding.
Right.
You get me?
Yes.
It does not matter the reason you attribute to what we are going through. It can be financial, it can be a capacity challenge, it can be a technical challenge.
Okay.
Whatever it is, it should be established and accepted that we are going through some load curtailment.
I see.
It can be resolved. Do you get me? But at this moment, we are not too sure which way we are going. We are not too sure whether it is going to be resolved today, tomorrow, or forevermore.
What we're being told is that, and I sorry for cutting you, for cutting in, but what we're being told is that during Mohammed's time, when we had the same power crisis, there was certainty about a certain quantum of power that we didn't have, which was, I think, around 1,000 something, right? And so it made it easier for the PURC to come out with a timetable for all of us. Or for the ECG, for the ECG to come out with a timetable for all of us. But in this case, it is there's no certainty. So 1 minute you get up, Gridco tells you this is how much we have to give you. The next day you get up, it says so because of the lack of certainty and predictability on how much power is transmitted to ECG, it then makes the whole conversation about load shedding a very difficult one, because you can say your light will be off, say, let's say from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., but then it will just be 6 to 12 p.m. because there's more power available. How do you explain that? But
you see, if you say that, I have said variously that because, you see, in His Excellency John Dramani Mohammed's time, it was an issue of capacity. So you were certain that I don't have this amount of power available. Whatever little power that I have going round, do you get me? Right. That is what I am using. So that one you can say with all certainty that we will shed 500, we will shed 1,000. Do you understand? But this one I have said variously that it is something that is not capacity. It is either a technical challenge or it is financial.
So we have more than enough available capacity.
Yeah, because the government has told us that we even have excess capacity that they are paying money for.
That's just true. I agree.
Do you get me?
That's
so
true.
If they are saying that we have excess capacity that they are paying money for, then certainly we don't have a problem when it comes to capacity.
So capacity
we
here,
take capacity
for the layman, capacity here means we have machines.
We have machines.
We have plants sitting there.
Everybody knows what happened with the hydro component of the electricity generation chain. Look at what happened, the floods and all.
Yes.
So it means even right now, Akosombo is not down.
Right.
Akosombo was very low in His Excellency John Dramani Mohammed's time. Pong was very low in his time. Do you get me?
All right.
So, all in all, there were not too many plants. There was TAPCO, which had a rotor problem that it took time for it to be replaced.
Right.
There was also TICO, then there was Asogli Phase 1, and Asogli Phase 2 was coming on. So there was not enough capacity. Do you understand me?
I get that.
But right now, there is capacity. So if capacity is encumbered, that maybe there is some challenge with the plants, maybe
so the machines are down.
1 or 2 machines are down. Maybe we don't have money to buy fuel. Maybe we have the West Africa gas pipeline. We are having issues. These are resolvable issues. So I also said that since this is not capacity, if you bring a timetable and the situation changes, then it means you have to withdraw.
True.
But you need to communicate effectively. Don't say it is not doomed. So because if you say that, you anger us. For instance, you are telling us that 630 transformers are not working properly. There are issues with fuses and all that. Yes, 630 transformers are not working properly. But that one is at the distribution end. If 630, from what I know and how I was trained, if you have issues with transformers, you don't go off like that.
What do you do?
You see brownouts, you see fluctuations, you see that
maybe
your
phase
power
is off.
Your phase is off, your
and
power
so
is not that strong, it cannot charge your battery, those things. You cannot maybe use a kettle, you cannot put on your air condition, you won't have
what we call low voltage.
Low voltage. The quality is not good. That one is an issue of quality of service.
I get it.
Okay, now you are saying that within the ECG area, you have issues, 630 transformers are not working. What is NEDCO saying? Because you go to Tamale, Bolga, all over, there is load shedding.
Meanwhile, they don't have that transformer.
Yeah, they don't have transformer issues.
So something doesn't add up.
Something doesn't add up. You see, when I was in PRC as the director, we had a sector-wide communication team that we would meet in anytime there is a crisis. Even within the load shedding, there were times there is a crisis. Maybe because there was capacity issue, anytime one plant goes down, then you are in crisis. So we had a sector-wide communication crisis team headed by myself, and we had all the utilities in there and all other stakeholders. So we actually sit down and get technical information of exactly what is going on. So we craft a communication around a communication that would not sound, I don't want to use the word, I won't use that word, but would not sound so right, because you see, you are talking to people who are also intelligent.
True.
You are talking to people who also know. They might not come out to speak, but they know. I was talking to Mr. Kwame Atu Ahoy.
Okay.
And he told me that he worked in the energy sector, and actually he was the energy minister
at the time,
the longest. And actually he was the first person who brought the prepaid meter thing. So if you are talking like this, there's somebody sitting out there like him who is now not in the public space, but who understands the issues.
How the system works.
So you cannot tell me that because the transfer, 630 of them are not working properly, are not functioning properly, you go off at a load peak periods.
So
the peak starts from 6 o'clock to maybe 12 minutes.
So Nana, the point essentially you're making is that this is not a distribution problem.
This is not a distribution.
This is a generation
This
problem.
is a generation, but not a capacity, because in generation, you have a capacity problem, you have a financial problem, and you have technical. Luckily for us, it is not, capacity is very difficult to resolve.
Right.
It is maybe some technical and financial. Which, I mean, because you see, if MPP did not use the DUMSOR for politics, there is nothing wrong to accept that we are in DUMSOR, but we are working towards it. There's nothing wrong. Because you see, it looks very, ridiculous. If you come and tell me, the consumer, that we are not in DUMSOR, when I am experiencing it.
What of the consumer who says, with all this long talk about erratic power supply, my lights haven't been off in the last 1 year. How does that person consume that type of information?
You see, sometimes we have different feeders. Okay. And sometimes we have security areas.
Okay.
So if your feeder is connected to maybe the Flagstaff house, you will not go.
You will not experience it.
You get me?
I get it.
Or your feeder is some military installation.
Yeah.
That one, it has to be protected.
Right. Or the former chief of defense staff lives in your area.
Yeah, or the former
or
chief
the former
of,
IGP.
Or the former IGP, or some security.
Or the former president.
A former president lives in some security thing.
Okay.
And you are on that feeder.
Okay, you won't experience it.
You won't experience
it. But that does not mean that there's no problem.
Yes, that does not mean there's no problem.
Okay, let me go to the Honorable Kofi Adams. Yeah. Before I do that, let me just say that Mr. Kojo Poku is an energy consultant, energy professional, but he's a member of the New Patriotic Party. That's clearly known. It's his public knowledge. He's here. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, your mic is actually off. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I said not only is it a public knowledge, right. I'm the chairman for the subcommittee for energy and petroleum.
Absolutely.
For the Ahombrasier Hine, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia.
Okay.
So
this is your neck deep.
Yes, very definitely. Okay. Definitely. That's I mean, we are on top of the issues.
Right.
And I'm happy to meet my sister.
You know, he's my brother.
And I'm happy to meet my
brother and sister.
Mr. Adam, who have not even waved at me, busy looking at documents before he come and rebut. But we are here.
Anyway, good. Well, I'm happy that you've been able to make time.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay. I'm very sorry.
That's fine. It's understandable. It's understandable. So let me just say that before I bring in the Honorable Kofi Adams, let me say it for those of you who want to join us with your thoughts and your viewpoints. 0249 155 646. 0249 155 646. That's the WhatsApp line for those of you who want to join the conversation with your thoughts and your viewpoints and so on. We'd be more than happy to hear what's the situation in your area. Do you accept this is DUMSOR or not? What do you expect from the PURC? What do you expect from the ECG? What do you expect from GRIDCO, for instance? What's your own assessment of the situation? I want to hear from you. 0249 155 646. Honorable, you have never...
No, can you give me 1 minute to say
something?
Sure,
that's fine. That's fine.
You see, PURC, the reason why at the time we had this sector-wide communication team standing was because we didn't want different views, or
Okay.
the word is not come, but different
don't want to-
solutions or answers
Okay.
to the situation. Right
Right.
now, if PRC also comes out and look at the thing with a technical eye, and or as a regulator, also comes to say something else.
Okay.
Do you get me?
I get it.
Then it means that there is no cohesion. Because now they are talking about the cash waterfall, the fact that they are not getting enough. Do you get me? So they would also come and have their same viewpoint.
I get it.
Then the ECG will, and besides, when these things happen, it's not ECG who should be in the forefront of
It should be
community.
Gridco.
It should be Gridco. I don't know why Gridco is hiding.
They've been very quiet too.
They've been very quiet. PRC is quiet. Everybody is quiet. It is not ECG. Because if people are having localized faults,
That's ECG.
that is ECG. But this one is wide.
Okay. Let me come to Mr. General Kofi Addo, because you've never been sold on this explanation. First of all, it's not DUMSOR. You've never been sold on this idea that we don't have a generation problem. You've never been sold on this idea that we're not load shedding. Why? What are you standing? What's your reason why you never want to agree, you never want to accept the explanation that the ECG and government on one side have been telling us? They say there's no DUMSOR. You say there's DUMSOR. Why?
Baro, thank you for the opportunity, and let me say good morning to my co-panelists, Nanaya and Kwesi Poku.
Kojo Poku.
Kojo
Yes.
Poku.
If I was
Kojo
giving
Poku.
you fans when he came, but you didn't mind
Kojo
him.
Poku. Oh,
Yes.
sorry, then I didn't see.
You're neck deep in your research.
I was deep reading the lies that were presented to us as state of the nation, for which has really tightened them. And it's part of the reason they are refusing to admit that we find ourselves in DUMSOR.
Right.
Because the president, just on the 27th of February,
Right.
was in parliament.
Right.
And was still talking about that DUMSOR only happened between 2012 and 2017, which is not even true.
Right.
Because the DUMSOR was resolved before we entered 2016. As at the time power was handed over to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we were no more shedding load.
Okay.
And so DUMSOR had ended
Right.
before he came to power.
I recall.
But
said
he
that.
chose to present the picture that DUMSOR was from 2012 to 2017. That was one lie that he told. He did not end them. He went on further to say that after that experience, his government was determined that DUMSOR would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. And I'm glad to be able to say, so far, so good. We have managed to keep the lights on these last 7 years, even in the midst of financial crisis.
Yes, he said
It's
that.
another lie, because you are not keeping the lights on. So because the president himself presented this position, which is not truthful, all other persons are being forced to keep to the president's position that there is no DUMSOR.
I see.
So, you see, this government have elected to govern through propaganda and not through telling Ghanaians the truth. People would prefer being told the truth in times of difficulty.
You will use it against, you will use it against them.
So
You use it
they
against
can
the
manage. They will use it against themselves. It's like Dr. Baumia telling you that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you.
Yes.
When we were exchanging $1 to not
Almost.
even, it was
Almost.
3.6 thereabout
Yes,
cedis.
yes.
And today, when it is 13 cedis to $1, he says it is better. Even it is better. How on earth can you have 14.7 rate of unemployment and you say that it is better than 8.4? How can you have this exchange rate and say that it is better? It is their own words that is today entangling them and not us. It is not us. Look, if there is ever any government in the history of our Fourth Republic inherited a better energy situation then it is the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Bawumia-led government, this current administration.
So they don't have any excuse.
They don't have any excuse. Look, whether from petroleum, in terms of revenues and what have you, whether from our own fuel in quote to support generation of power, and whether it is capacity to be able to what? Generate power. They had it on all fronts. President
and then
Kufuor,
there's ESLA.
President Kufuor, through the usage of the laws that were passed under President Rawlings, led us to find oil. The first Jubilee fields. Under President Mills and President Mahama, we found additional fields. By the time they came, we have 3 oil fields that were bringing in revenue. Not only that, we had also completed the Atuabo gas processing, which is handled by what? Ghana Gas. So we were on our own, at least generating reliable gas that could support the power generation system. This led to a saving of not less than $300 million every year, dollars, not cedis. Not cedis. Again, a funding source has been found to also deal with some of the challenges that confront payment to generational companies or institutions, i.e. ESLA. ESLA was passed in the last quarter of 2015, and it kicked in. Normally, the budget is presented in November of the previous year, and by the end of the first quarter of the ensuing year, such taxes kick in. So it kicked in 2016. So by the time they came, there was another source that proper analysis have been done, that this is how much fuel we consumed as a country. And there was a projection as to the volumes of consumption moving on, and that over a 5-year period, if we collected ESLA, it was possible to settle the debts within the industry. You have a government that comes in and say, well, we've seen this. They say they will collect it over a 5-year period. We think that is so long. So we want to use it to raise bonds from the market and settle the debt now, so that as we collect it in bits, the bond holders will now be what? Settled. This was raised. As we speak now, our debt has doubled. We can't find the monies that were collected as bonds. Even the bond holders today are being invited to come for haircut, even though we continue to pay for ESLA 4 years after it's supposed to have what? Ended.
Yeah.
So this is a government that inherited everything. Indeed, at a point, their song was that excess capacity, and now we have excess capacity. Well, maybe they didn't know what to utilize it for. But if you look at the energy,
they have too much power.
If you look at the Energy Commission analysis, and you look at what we call the available capacity of all the plants, and you calculate their percentage that should be considered as redundancy, and you add that to what was being utilized, it becomes very difficult to accept the position of the NPP administration about the volumes they were presenting as excess capacity. That cannot be true. And it is because they've allowed non-industry persons to speak and spew out falsehood, outright lies sometimes. And that is what has presented us with these kind of challenges. Like Nanaya said, we have the issues of generation, we have transmission, and we have distribution. Generation, in terms of capacity, is not a problem. The problem is the lack of money to buy fuel. That's all.
Simply put.
Simple. The lack of money to buy fuel. Look, they will tell you Ameri is off that TAPCO, and then I think TICO is also off.
Yes.
If you add all that up, you will not be getting even up to 720. It will reach 700. If you add the available capacity of these three, that is off. It won't even reach 700.
Your point is?
So if you strike even that off, the capacity that is available for generation, and you are able to find fuel to run them effectively, you would not find yourself in a situation where you would have to be shedding huge load. A load that is not related to localized problems. I admit that you can have localized problems. That is not what we are talking about here. Where sometimes, as a result of weather pattern, sometimes heavy downpour, lightning, and thundering can affect transformers, and as a result of that, you may have a localized problem. You may also have a situation, and hardly do this happen, that all of a sudden, the consumption level of a particular localized area will rise to the point that it will put stress
on the transformer. Yes.
Because there is the ECG also works within those communities, and they see the expansion that is happening, and therefore they need to be retooling. And this administration have purchased a number of transformers. They've told us, DUMSOR, and all what have you. So even though I accept that you can have localized situation, the explanation and the reasoning that they are giving for the localized situation, some of it is unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable. They know that they are shedding huge load, sometimes between 250 to over 600 during peak period. And this is why it was better for them to admit and know that no matter what, even off peak, we are going to shed this amount of load.
Okay.
And peak, we are going to shed it. So what do? You look at the situation and you give us a timetable. So that tomorrow you know that from this time to this time, you will not have power. If it happens that something good happened and you are able to get power, that is bonus. But the government is refusing to publish a schedule because they know immediately you do so, it is an affirmation of DUMSOR. What they have told, so let's put you off, but we are not saying it is DUMSOR.
Right.
Let's invite you to the dining area, even though there's no food to feed all of you.
Okay.
So 4 of us here, instead of telling Kojo that, Kojo, you don't come for breakfast because there's no food for you. Nanaya, don't come for breakfast because there's no food for you. We don't tell them. We ask them to walk to the dining area. They come and there's no food for them. Only you and I get breakfast. Then during lunchtime again, they expect us to walk again and come. They won't tell you, they won't tell me that you two, you will not have lunch, so don't waste your time to come. The little energy we have, we walk to the dining area only to get there, and we don't have food. Only the two will get food.
Except to say that the person is unable to tell you whether there's food or not because somebody can supply you with the food. The availability of the food changes.
The person already knows that the food is not available. They know. Look, ECG knows how much power is available.
But that's not what the Big Mahama is saying.
I am saying that the power is not there.
But it's just a system disturbance.
The power is not there. The system disturbance is not accounting for the 250 plus to 600 megawatts that they are shedding on daily basis. Those systems problem that he's talking about is not accounting for this. It is the lack of fuel. And you see, this government made another fundamental mistake.
Yeah.
Under the John Mahama administration, we started a system of building our own transmission system to transport our gas from the western enclave to the east. The process had gone very, very, very far. They came to power, instead of even keeping quiet, that you will not, and not say that you will not do it. So if you happen to even not execute it and you are engaging in any arrangement with any other institution, that institution knowing that you are building your own systems, in negotiating with you, it helps you get better deal. The government went ahead to announce that they were not going to pursue the transmission line to transmit gas from the western enclave to the eastern enclave, where we had a number of our power plants that would generate energy for us. So when they went into negotiations with West African Gas Pipeline Company, because they had at the back of their mind that government was doing nothing, they have no alternative. The tariffs that they are charged for transporting gas went high. So today, we are paying more than we should have been paying if we were minded to keep quiet about even our intentions before going into the negotiations with WACPO in terms of they transporting the gas from the west to the east for us. We are paying more. And so sometimes you hear West African Gas Pipeline say, well, we are shutting the system down off you because you owe us.
Yeah.
You know, last year we experienced that problem.
True.
We had gas, all right. But because we didn't have our own transmission lines, and because we owe West African Gas Pipeline Company so much, almost 20 million, and 20 million, I think, dollars, $20 million.
Yeah.
They shut the system for us because they first warned us. We didn't honor it, and so they shut the system up. So even though you had gas, you could not transport the gas to your plants in Tema for them to process it and generate energy for you. But today, it is not even about West African Gas Pipeline not transporting. It is because we owe them. We owe various systems. Even NGAS, that we get the Nigerian gas, where we get a chunk of our gas from through the West African Gas Pipeline to Tema area to and then even sometimes even to the west. We owe them also. I hear they are working out a system to settle
a payment plan.
A payment plan to settle that. I don't know how far that has gone, but at least last year,
if they strike,
we were owing them.
Okay.
Seriously.
All right.
And so the problem that we face is lack of money. And I am so disappointed that you have a government that inherited ESLA. Okay. You have a government that inherited huge revenues.
All right, so we shouldn't be here.
We shouldn't be here at all.
Let me just say,
we shouldn't be here.
Let me just say that if you have any views, some of you are already sending your messages, but let me repeat it. It's 0249 155 646. 0249 155 646. Honorable Kofi Adam says the NPP government has no excuse whatsoever to plunge this country into the darkness that we're in because they have inherited so much by way of capacity, the plans, the fuel, and the money. So what is your excuse? Why are you putting Ghanaians through this? You have no explanation to give. Just tell us what's happening. Anyway, Honorable Kojopoku, I've heard some people say that, look, three things. The management of the communication, and I has actually said that too, the management of the communication of this crisis has been terrible. That is number one. Number two, where lies your difficulty in accepting that we have a generation problem? So Ghanaians, bear with us. Where lies the difficulty? Is it because of the politics of it? You don't want to accept that it's DUMSOR so that, it will become a political chess ball or whatever. What exactly is the issue? And what's your own, what have you also been finding out as to why we find ourselves in this difficulty?
My brother, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
All right, thank you. Well. Good morning to your viewers, and I'm happy to be on Metro. It's one station that I don't come on very often.
That's true.
But I'm happy to be here. Look, my brother,
there's
no problem.
There's no problem?
There's nothing that we have not owned up to. Everyone have said that there are challenges in the system. People's lights are going off. I mean, you can't see blue and say that it's pink. Ghanaians' lights are going off. So how can you say that there's no light going off? But you see, when people's lights go off, they want to know why their light is off. And there's been plenty of reasons given why lights are going off. It's a combination of issues. There are localized problems, and there are also generational problems. My sister Nanaya is very versed in the system, so she knows some stuff.
She said the same.
She said certain things. But you know what? When my brother Kofi Adam says that we inherited everything, yes, we inherited everything, including the mess. Let's not NDC come and pretend that they did not leave a mess. In 2016 November, Honorable Setepe have set up a committee headed by Mr. Ahenkra. The draft report of that committee said that all the PPAs that the MDC have signed from 2012 to 2016, bear in mind, we've gone into the IMF, and the IMF have told His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, that, look, sort out the mess you have created, because there were over 10,000 PPAs that have 10,000 megawatts in PPAs that have been signed. So the committee was set up to clean that up. This excess capacity issue is not an imagination of MPP. That committee headed by Mr. Ahenkra told the NDC that if all the PPAs that they have signed is left and nothing is done, Ghana will have to pay $586 million a year. It's not me saying it. It's a report the NDC commissioned telling them before they left. You understand? So there was a mess that they have created. When they talk of gas, we had free gas coming from Jubilee to Ghana Gas. Free. Until September, when the freeness basically ended, and we're now having to negotiate the price for gas from the Jubilee partners. When they were in power, 2012 to 2016, the gas from Jubilee was free. What did they do? Instead of them giving more investment for Jubilee to expand the gas fields and basically build bigger Ghana Gas, they now contracted take or pay from ENI, okay, which was more expensive gas than Jubilee. Well, let's put the numbers on the table, okay? The ENI OTCP gas was more expensive than Jubilee because Jubilee was free.
Do you have any figures to
yes.
show?
He's here. You bear with me. I can get you the figures, but let me go. By the time you come around, I'll give you the numbers on how much the OC or the gas. Okay. I think at that time it was about $8 per MMscf or something. I'll get you the right figures.
Okay.
The NPP came in and renegotiated it. Okay, so you signed a take or pay, basically forcing us to take expensive gas into the basket from ENI. That is one. So that was another mess that was created by the NDC. So now the MPP comes in 2017, right? And we have to do all this cleaning up of the PPAs that have signed. Those that were MOUs, we basically canceled. Those that have take or pay, that nothing could be done, we kept them. But there were about 2,500 overcapacity at that time.
So why are we off now?
My brother, let me go on and give you the... You see, you made something that they've allowed people who are not in the sector to spew lies. I, Kujopoku, am in the sector.
Please go ahead.
So you can't... I mean,
but please
if
go
we're
ahead.
having
Please
a technical conversation, let's have a technical conversation.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the sector. I've been here for the last 22 years.
Yeah.
So I know what's going on. Now, when we now have a scenario whereby we have the PPAs, which is 2,500 megawatts of PPA. Now, let's educate Ghanaians and let Ghanaians understand that there's nothing wrong with excess capacity. Okay? Every nation, I have said that we need to have that conversation. Do we wait and exhaust our capacity before we build new ones?
No.
Or we build excess capacity, but PURC have to let Parliament and PURC decide who pays for the excess. Because if you're going to have a plant sit there, somebody has to pay for it.
I agree.
So Ghanaians have to admit that we need excess capacity, but we have to pay for it.
Especially for the capacity charges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So look, the problem that the MPP talks about is that in 2017, whether for a betterment of the future or not, there were power purchase agreements that were committed to that at that point we did not need. So for 2 years, excess capacity conversation exists in 2017, excess capacity conversation exists in 2018. When you enter 2019, 2020, the excess capacity is fading down because we grow at 250 megawatts every year, roughly. So somebody told me a joke. It's like a young guy who was 3 years, his parents go to the market and buy him a 6-year-old trouser. But that way they're small, so don't worry. So we have the capacity and we've grown into it, admittedly. Was it a good thing to have excess capacity? Yes. But was it an albatross around the government's neck in 2017, 2018? Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, but it's got to be a price to pay for.
No, but somebody has to. So
for proactivity.
No, yes, but the conversation that the MPP has always put out there is that nobody is saying that the excess capacity was a bad thing. What we are saying is that there was excess capacity that we have to use hard-earned Ghanaian money to pay for.
Okay, so it's good to have excess capacity, but
yes,
it's come at a cost.
Cost, yes.
And you're saying
but anytime MPP has talked about excess capacity, we were telling Ghanaians because people keep saying that, look, you borrowed all this money, what have you done with it?
Yeah, but that's not the same as saying we didn't need.
No, my brother. Need is a different thing.
Okay.
Needing it and making provision to pay for it is a different thing altogether.
Right, I get it.
That is what I'm saying, that when they got into that mess and they realized that in 2016 November, they had to come up with $586 million every year. How are we going to find that money? Okay, so even the little that was done, leaving about 2,500 in place, somebody has to pay for it. But anytime MPP talks about excess capacity, is to explain to Ghanaians what we have done with your money. Okay, people keep asking, oh, Nanado came in, had all this money. My brother talks about 3 wells that was given to Nanado. Yes, 3 wells was given. But we have to use that money to pay for their excess capacity, which today, yes, admittedly, we are using.
Really? Is that it?
So again, but hold on, how do you... No, but I'm just saying that the money, the proceeds from oil and gas is proceeds to government. So what I'm saying is that money that comes into government coffers, some of the things that government have used the money for, government has always itemized what we've used money for. Okay, one of them in 2017, 2018, 2019 is to pay for excess capacity. And that is not money that anybody has chopped. So it is to explain the usage of Ghanaians' money. That is why we explain excess capacity. Okay, so let's not anybody make it look like, yes, we inherited all the good stuff. No. We inherited a lot of bad stuff, a lot of bad decisions, and we have cleaned it up. Now, let's come to where we are now. And I don't want people to make it low. My brother again said that, oh, we talk about Ameri not being around, Tico not being around. If you add them, Andrew 700 in pool. Clearly, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Ameri is 230. Tico is 340. Tapco is 300. You add them up, it's 870.
True.
Okay, so it's definitely more than the 700 he's talking about. Okay, look, this is what the problem is now.
But hold on, before you go ahead and talk about the problem I think the principle Kofi was driving was that
if you come out and say that you only have these 3 out, but let me address that. That's my next step.
We should have more than enough to serve everybody. We don't have gotten the figure accurately.
Yes, but we don't. That's my next step. We don't have. Because now Amandi is 200. Amandi is not working.
Why isn't it?
Why is it not working?
Well, go and ask the operators of Amandi. There are technical faults with Amandi. It's not about gas and it's not about light food oil. Amandi is down. It's not. There's a fault with Amandi. It's not working. The engineers are working on it. You see, we've come into a problem where there are technical issues. People keep saying that it's financial. Financial to what extent? But today, the reason that there are challenges, and I admitting to the challenges, is this problem I'm about to enumerate to you.
Please go ahead.
Okay? Amandi is 200 megawatts. Amandi is down. Tico Tapco, as we already talked about, went to maintenance last year, November, has not been able to come back. It's only Tico that gives us 110 every now and then because the rest is having the challenge coming up. Tapco is down completely. Okay? Then you have Ameri. We relocated Ameri from Takoradi to Kumasi. There was a decision, why I don't know, that only 6 units of the 10 units should go to Kumasi and 4 units should be used to start a new project in Takoradi. For me, bad decision. But what it meant is that now we only have 6 units of the Ameri in Kumasi about to start. So that 230 megawatts in our generational mix is unavailable to us until 150 of it comes up in Kumasi.
True.
Okay? So now, then Bew Power. Bew Power is a peaking plant, so it comes on in the evening. It's 345. As I speak to you now, Bew only gives us barely 100 megawatts. Because, yes, because 1, the water is down. 2, They have 2 units that keep giving them vibration. So the advice is that they need to basically look at it and see what the problem is. So now, if you add the 200 and all these bits and pieces not available, we have about 1,065 megawatts. Take out the 110, which sometimes TICO give us. Then you now have only about a 90-50, which is not available. Then a month ago, NGAS. And I want to tell my brother Kofi Adams, VRA does not own NGAS a dime. I am in direct communication with the MD of NGAS. I can put him on speed dial right now. VRA do not owe NGAS a dime.
Since when?
They do not owe them a dime.
Since
as
when?
I speak here. As
Well,
I
I
sit
said
here,
as of
as
last
I
year.
sit here now,
But he
they
says-
do not owe them a dime.
I said
Current information is that NGAS VRA does not owe
but
them
to
a
be
dime.
fair to Kofi, he said last year.
But brother, if you are
He didn't have the current.
if you're going to give information to Ghanaians, let's give the latest
preparing
information.
to make
They
payments,
do
whether
So
they
that's
have
fine.
paid.
So that's fine. Now he
Well,
says,
that's fine.
He says currently it's
The
been paid.
information now
but
is
but
that-
Kofi, you're more than you're more than free to cross check.
Well, that's fine. They do not owe them a dime.
Okay.
As at last month, NGAS underwent maintenance. Right? The delegation came to the ministry, they spoke to the minister, told everybody that, look, we are going to undergo maintenance. But the thing is that their maintenance was supposed to go on for 3 weeks. It went on for an extra 15 days. It only finished this Monday gone. And we are getting some flows from NGAS. So now the pressure is not up to the pressure we want, but we are getting some gas from NGAS. Okay? At the back end of NGAS, Chevron has not finished their maintenance to pump their gas into their train. So basically, we have limited gas coming from Nigeria.
Okay.
So those are a mouthful of problems that has culminated on the desk of everybody. That is why we have the challenges that we are having. Now, on the issue of whether it's DUMSOR or not, my brother, you see, DUMSOR is a key word. I don't mind if my light goes off and come on. I don't mind calling it DUMSOR. But you see, my brother Kofi Adam made a statement. He said, we solved DUMSOR by the end of 2016. DUMSOR has ended. So it means that when the NDC says DUMSOR, they mean a particular event.
When everybody says
No. Let me finish, please. If somebody makes a statement that by the end of 2016, DUMSOR has ended, it doesn't mean light going off and light coming on, because Ghanaians' light always go off and always comes on.
So I was quoting the president.
Nobody can.
Kojo,
let me finish. Make your notes. When you finish, then you can-
just a point because you are quoting
Just
me.
a second. Yes.
I made reference to what His Excellency the President said
At Sona.
On the 27th of February.
That's-
And if you care, please listen. I'll just take 30 seconds to read. He said, Mr. Speaker, between 2012 and early 2017, there was nothing more demoralizing than the phenomenon we call DUMSOR. It was symptomatic of a dysfunctional system, and it caused widespread depression amongst businesses and households. After that experience, my government was determined that DUMSOR would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. And I'm glad to be able to say, so far, so good. We have managed to keep the lights on these last 7 years, even in the midst of financial crisis.
So,
have the lights.
so admitted.
So I was quoting the president.
The point I'm making is that when the MPP NDC talks about DUMSOR, it is not the same language that everybody talks about when their light goes off and come on. Because in the context in which the president used DUMSOR, it's not about the same light going off and coming on.
Did that context existed in 2017?
No, but what I'm saying
did
is
it exist?
Can we settle with?
Did it exist?
Can I finish?
It's a legitimate question, but he'll answer it.
What I'm saying to you is that the project. Let's not. The point I am making. The point I am making is that there are Ghanaians who say that. You've heard it over and over. Masa, say me like dumni so, you DUMSOR. We've heard that.
True.
So what I am trying to explain to the good people of Ghana is that there are two sets of definitions.
Okay.
When the political person says DUMSOR, it's different meaning to when the average Ghanaian says DUMSOR because my
And I'm
light has
saying,
gone off and come
Kojo,
on.
that
There's two different
political-
meanings.
Kojo,
The political meaning is what the president is referring to, and it's what Mr. Kofi Adam referred to that ended.
But did it exist in 2017?
so that's the question.
Did it exist in 2016? The political definition.
The political definition of DUMSOR does not still exist. It ended when basically the MPP came in. It doesn't exist.
Is that when it ended?
Hold on, please. Let me finish. I can't have
no.
Look, hold on. Listen to me.
Did it end
Please.
before MPP or it ended
what I am
with
saying
MPP?
to you is that there have been multiple programs. I don't want this one to be turned into one of those
No, that's fine.
where everybody keeps fighting about who solved DUMSOR and blah, blah. That is not the conversation here. What I'm trying to say is that the reason that I, Kojo Poku, have a challenge with that word in a technical conversation is that it has a political connotation and it has a political meaning. When in the political conversation they say DUMSOR, it is not the same as when an average Ghanaian says,
And
because
Kofi is
Edward
telling
Bauer,
you that-
I just left the program.
Yes.
Edward Bauer says, DUMSOR means when load is being managed. That's what Edward Bauer said.
Yes.
Okay? So everybody in the political setup has a meaning for DUMSOR.
Yes.
So the person watching us today at home,
Yes.
they keep saying, Kojo, but why are you dancing around the question?
That's fine.
When
Kojo,
light goes off and come
I
on,
get
it's
that.
DUMSOR.
I get that.
But
Kojo-
I want us to differentiate the two.
No, but you see, the reason why the differentiation is not possible now.
Why is that?
Because like Kofi Adam said, the president did not differentiate it.
That's fine.
As far as the
But
president
no,
is concerned,
I'm
whether
happy,
it is at the individual level or at
Yes,
the country
I am
level, it's
happy-
DUMSOR. So he
yes,
talks
no,
about 2017.
I am happy to go with the political conversation.
No,
I'm
that's
happy.
fine. And then number
but,
two.
No, my brother Tete. What I'm saying is that let the Ghan, you see, it's not about me and you. We have a broad
I get
viewers.
that. No, I
Let
get
the
that.
viewers
No,
understand
I
that.
don't have a problem with
who is
that.
tuned in now.
I don't have a problem with that, Kojo, but I'm just-
I do because we need to educate the public. Let them understand
but
that
I'm
the
also-
context of DUMSOR
Yes.
that I am talking about is
Yes.
not the same thing that Amasa Melai call off labor on
Yes.
and DUMSOR. That's not what we're talking
Again,
about.
Kojo, you talked
Are we
about.
managing load?
I was just
Are
about
we
to ask
managing
you.
load?
So I'll just
Kojo,
ask you,
we
Kojo,
have-
are
are
we
we
managing?
managing load?
Yes, we've been
Kojo,
managing load in the last 6 weeks.
So, exactly.
we are managing load.
So
No,
when
but
you
hold
said
on.
when you
We've
said
been
Edward
managing
Bauer,
load in the last 6 weeks.
no, when you said Edward Bauer said
Yes.
DUMSOR is when load is being managed.
Yes.
So whether it is official or not official,
Yes.
I mean, you just look.
Yes.
Until you came here,
Yes.
this information you have just delivered or you have just divulged. None of us knew. When I said none of us,
No,
knew, it hadn't been
but
made
we've
public.
said this. We've made this on various. We've made this on a lot of
the
platforms.
information,
We've said this
Kojo
on a
Poku
lot
has
of
given.
platforms.
Which one is this one?
Which is Amandi is down and all of those things.
They
I'm just
haven't
saying
told
that
us
we
yet.
haven't had any government
Oh, we-
communicator.
we've
or
had-
even Gridco
Oh, a lot
come
of
to tell us this.
people.
No, I'm
But-
serious.
but let
all
me-
we have had, no, Pacho, all we have had is from the ECG first of all,
Which is
and the ECG Samuel Dubik
explaining
Mahama
the other
has
side
already
of
said
it,
that
the
there are system disturbances.
the other side of the localized problems, which
Yes.
he give a reason for.
Yes.
But the reason that I am giving to you is admitting that people lights are going off in a combination of problems.
because it's a
Because
load
management.
there is
Yes.
a load management in the last 6
So
weeks.
there is DUMSOR.
Because hold on. That's what I'm saying, brother. I don't have a problem if we say.
Okay, so let's make progress.
I don't have a problem
Let's
with
make
that.
progress.
All I want
Yes,
to
admit
different.
it. Say, look,
I
you
don't
are
have a
free to
problem.
call it DUMSOR.
Yes, you are free
He
to
doesn't
call
have
it
a
DUMSOR.
problem
I don't
with
have a
that.
problem with
That's
that.
fine.
All
That's
I'm
fine.
saying is
That's
that
fine.
let's educate the Ghanaian that this challenge we are in is as a matter of the last 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I can assure anybody watching us now that as at last night, the president was up till 2 a.m. in the morning with his team in Peduase, putting the I's to the T's and everything to make sure that this problem does
It's
not
resolved.
go past
Okay.
the end of the month.
Okay.
But the point that we need to make, and very Moro, is very important.
Sure.
Look, when Nanaya says that it's Gridco that should manage this problem, I would have wished that it was Gridco that could manage the problem. When
I
this
said
issue
communicate.
communicate, manage, but
Yes.
look,
But
when
they are
this thing-
managing the problem.
No, but they are not managing. That's the problem. You
Why
see,
are they
that's
not
the
managing
another
it?
stage of the problem is that okay. So let me now explain this. ECG owns the PPAs. ECG is the one who have contracted the power.
Yes.
Now, there are 4 nodes of distribution as far as grid code is concerned. There's export, there's Netco, there is mines, and there's ECG concessional areas. When you have the load coming to grid code, ECG now distributes to everybody.
Yes.
Now, as far as, Gridco distributes to everybody. On a particular night,
Distribute or transmit.
so Gridco is the one who manages for everybody,
Yeah,
transmits it to
yes.
everybody. Okay.
And
Now,
ECG
in
distributes
most
that.
parts in the last 6 weeks, people in the northern part of this country will bear witness. Hardly has the northern region gone off.
Some
Hardly.
areas go off.
Some areas, hardly. That's what means the word hardly.
Yes.
The frequency at which
But it
light.
goes off.
My brother, that's why I'm saying hardly.
You see, the northern
let me,
capacity is
Nanaya,
very
I'm
small.
using the word hardly.
They
The
go off.
frequency.
They go
Boy,
off.
that hardly means
There's
it
not
does or
too
it
much
doesn't.
load there.
I'm not saying that it
Please,
doesn't.
man,
I'm saying that.
I'm coming to rather
But I'm saying that
If you can-
hardly
if you
does
can
it
answer
go
that,
off.
yes.
The frequency at which the ECG concessional area go off.
All right.
It's not the same frequency the NETCO area goes off.
Because the load is here.
No, but the point. So,
The load
no,
and
but
the
hold on.
NETCO
But,
is just
but no,
about
but
300
I am going to.
Yeah,
But I'm
it's
going to
even
guess.
up to that. They are not a lot. I mean,
Could you please go ahead.
So-
I want you to learn so that we.
So
we
can
get
I
the
finish on
reactions.
this
Yeah,
conversation?
please go ahead. Please
Okay.
go ahead. Could you?
So now the reason is this: when Gridco tells ECG to shed load, right? As far as ECG is concerned, bear in mind the demand and the supply from the generators who are available to produce the generation at any point in time. ECG, who has the PPA with these companies, know what generation is available.
True.
And ECG knows what their demand is in their concessional area. So ECG sits there. They know the supply on the grid, which they've contracted. They know what the demand for them, for their customers are. Then Gridco tells them to shed, let's say, 200 megawatts. And they're like, my brother, why am I shedding 2 megawatts? My contractual power with the power generators, they are generating it. My demand on my concessional area is less than even what I have contracted. So why am I being asked to share load on my customers?
Okay.
So that back and forth between ECG and Gridco is ongoing.
Okay.
So what is happening now is that Gridco arbitrarily is now the one taking off the bulk supply points, which is creating a problem between ECG and Gridco, which is another stage of the problem that needs to be resolved. So look, I am assuring the good people of Ghana that there is a lot that they don't have to worry about.
Okay.
They put people in charge of this country to run it, and they should be sure that
filters.
it is going to happen.
All
Look,
right.
this power problem,
please, let
this power problem is not going to be somebody's Hail Mary on the losing fight.
All right, could you, let me just do this quickly, I beg you. Let me just read a few messages, and then let me also say that everybody will get 5 minutes each to wrap up on this so that we can talk about internet service disruption and data as well. No, everybody will get 5 minutes each to wrap up, yeah, so that I'll just use 15 minutes, the last 15 minutes to talk about the internet disruption and when things are going to be, yes, when internet is going to be fully restored. Salam Babrante of Imani Africa will be joining us. Just 10 minutes conversation with him so that we know what the way forward is. But quickly, Dan from Dansoman says, good morning, Mr. Moro. Kojopoku really tried because he was on TV3 Key Points with Alfredo Cancer just a while ago. But all what he's saying here, he couldn't say it when he was faced with Edward Bauer, who knows better on his energy crisis. He indeed admitted there's a problem. But he has said, same thing here, that there's a problem, except that he explains why the problem exists. So it's not like somebody knows better or anything. There's nothing like that, I beg you. It's not different from what he said on the other platform. DUMSOR has only one meaning. There's no political or ethnic description to it. It simply means power going on and off. John from Dome Pillar 2. And all politicians are the same. When in opposition, they appear to have all the solutions to Ghana's problems. Also from Spintex sense this. Mr. Moro, kindly tell my own MPP man, Mr. Poku, that some of us are more MPP-blooded people than them. But I want to tell him that people are seeing worse things now than before. Let him speak the truth. Things are worse than before. So, Mr. Poku, stop dancing around if everything is okay. Others are not. That's coming from Suleiman Otto from 2nd D. Patrick from Nima says, Ghanaians have come this far to know the gross incompetence of the corrupt government. They hardly accept the truth and always advertise gross arrogance. Ghanaians have seen the difference now. God save this country from this archaic government. Patrick from Nima. And this one from Nane Champon says, wonderful submission by Mr. Kojopoku. I'm not surprised at all that you're part of the Bamia campaign team. Solid explanation. This is my first time watching this show, and I'm stuck. Wow, Nanaya, thank you very much for staying with us. Mantibia from Afram Plain South says, please, they use the energy money to pay pensioners' bonds. They should stop talking, and please solve it. Solve what you created. How do you know this for a fact? Ate Edusei from Ofwase Kokobeng says, the explanation by the MPP makes sense. NDC cost the mess and exited power. It's therefore unfortunate for Kofi Adams, who knows nothing about energy. Who says he knows nothing about energy? I don't think you know what you're saying. And he's making those damaging comments to denigrate the government. Ate Edusei. Prince Asante from Kofridia says, from New Job in South, says, when a liar is speaking, he doesn't know that the person listening to him have sense at all. Okay, so when I look at the nature of this statement, it's not a type that I would want to read because you're attacking and insulting somebody. I don't entertain that. I'm sorry. Ni Ama says, Moro, it is not true that the NDC signed power plants capacity that Ghanaians don't need. Kojo, this is what the NDC did. The NDC government entered into a number of power purchase agreements which were scheduled to come on stream in a step-by-step manner at later dates to address annual electricity demand increases, meet the existing suppressed demand, cater for the deficits that would be occasioned when emergency plants with shorter tenure are taken off stream and replace obsolete plants like the TAPCO plant that are old enough to be decommissioned. This laudable initiative is what the MPP is benefiting from now. So please credit the NDC for that. Hi, good morning. Final one. I'm Humphrey from Osu. Please tell the MP man to give me a little respect and give us a break. DUMSOR is really back, and that's it. Okay, so Nana, five minutes each.
I have a definition of DUMSOR here.
Okay.
This is Wikipedia, unless Wikipedia is not accepted.
Okay.
He said in Ghana, DUMSOR Akan pronunciation is a persistent, irregular, and unpredictable electric power outage, which is due to low power supply, shortage in power supply. That is DUMSOR.
Okay.
So DUMSOR has no political connotation or whatever. But the point is that, you see, there are 5 minutes will not be enough. I want to find out for quick. All these PPAs they were talking about, where are the plants?
Okay.
You can't just tell us that you've signed PPAs up to 10,000 megawatts of power, and we don't know which plants. They should because when you sign PPAs, it should come with plans. Number two, please let me finish. Number two, when you sign PPAs, there's renewable energy. Some people sign some PPAs with ECG, with renewable energy. But the fact that you have signed a PPA, it doesn't mean that you have been commissioned. Because it is when the plant is commissioned, that is when the plant is put into the grid. You can sign a PPA and not be commissioned.
Right.
You get me? Number two, when they say that they are paying for capacity, in the PRC tariff, there's a capacity charge and there's an energy charge. When you are not deployed, your capacity charge is paid you.
Okay.
It's when you are deployed that your energy charge is added to it.
Okay.
So granted that there are plants that have been commissioned, after signing the PPA, they have been commissioned. Their capacity charge is in the tariff.
Oh, really?
Yes, we pay capacity charge, we pay energy charge.
Capacity charge for
plants that have been commissioned.
Yes.
You guys, that's what I'm saying. Plants that have been commissioned and put into the grid. But if somebody signs a PPA, it doesn't mean that you have been commissioned.
So until it is commissioned, you
it is commissioned, you don't pay anything. It is not for us. Until it is commissioned. Or maybe let's see the detail, because you see what I do know, unless I'm wrong, until a plant is commissioned, you don't belong to us. You don't have any.
You were at PULC until 2017.
Yes.
And you are aware of the problems which even led to your exit of the place. I'm surprised you are talking like this.
Don't bring my existing.
No, but that was the problem.
That wasn't the problem. Please, I beg you. Don't go there. You are my brother. I beg you.
And you're saying
my existing PRC has got nothing.
It has everything.
Nothing to do with
the PPA.
Yes. No way. It is not true.
But how's PRC?
When she was
I beg
you. But she didn't sign it.
I didn't sign it.
PRC is very instrumental.
We don't even sign PPA.
Hold on.
PPAs
you were not instrumental in giving
PPAs are signed.
Hold on.
Please.
Was PRC instrumental in giving
I am telling you that PPAs are signed by ECG.
But are you instrumental in giving the energy charge?
And she's just repeated
I'm telling you that.
No, are you PULC instrumental?
If a machine
we're not talking about PULC.
I am saying that
you want to know whether they play any role.
They play. I know they play, but I want him to say.
So you said that is the reason why
let me ask Nanaya
existed.
that. He is saying that yes, the PULC doesn't sign PPA. She and Nanaya was at PULC during this time that we are talking about all these excess capacity that came on board. Was PULC not involved in the capacities charges that they gave?
I am telling you that you give capacity charge to a machine or a plant that is commissioned and is going
price
into
at which the PPA factors in. Wasn't PULC the one inspecting the machine?
You see,
wasn't PULC the one inspecting the machine?
I am even saying that when a PPA is signed, it is very negotiable. At the time of commissioning the plant, if the PPA is signed by ECG, when it's commissioned, then we do the capacity charge. So at the point of the plant being commissioned and being brought to us,
that's when you come in.
Yes, if we even realize that the charge is not good enough, it is too high. We assess the age of the plant and we reduce it if it is too high.
Okay.
Do you get it? If we think it is okay, the mechanism is okay, everything is fine, then we leave it as it is. Because if a plant is not commissioned, we do not give any charge to it because it is not going into the grid.
Right.
Because there's an energy charge and there's a capacity charge. The issue of GridCo and ECG having problems with load has always been there. It behoves on the sector to ensure that this kind of relationship is dealt with. Because this quarrel has been there ever since. And when I was in PURC, we ensured that we monitored to know exactly what is going on, which plants are down. We don't wait for the plants to go down before we allow load to be shed. We did regular checks on the plants, monitoring. We will go to GridCo, look at the SCADA, see how every plant is performing. We get a performance appraisal list every month to find out. For instance, TAPCO always complained about their roto. And they wanted to buy a roto from a certain place. I remember Mr. Sapon said no. Because you see, some of the parts of the plants are not on the shelf. Because it is not something that is bought regularly.
Okay.
So whenever there is a problem or there's a near problem, we make sure that it is dealt with.
Right.
Do you understand me? So plants do not just go off like that. There should be a monitoring mechanism. You see, what I am seeing is that PURC is not being empowered. PURC is not being treated as an independent regulator. So PURC doesn't have the power. Now the power of PURC is being encumbered. Do you understand me? Right. So it's as if the utilities even have more access to the president than PURC. It is as if even the utilities have more power than the PURC.
And that has contributed to the
Yes,
problem.
because if the PURC, it has all the power that it has to get from the law. Some of these things will not be happening because we don't have issues of capacity.
Okay.
Moreover, when it comes to DUMSOR, the most difficult aspect is having issues with capacity. But if you have issues with fuel and money, it can be dealt with. It only takes negligence for it to get to this point. Because the PURC has to be empowered, and I'll repeat it and repeat it again. The regulators in the sector, they have to be empowered. The president should take an eye to PURC. They should make, because you see, the law of the PURC even says that the PURC is at the advisory wing in the energy sector for government. But if you ignore PURC and you deal with the utilities, these are some of the issues that you get.
All right. So we'll take a short break. It's just 1 minute. We'll take a short break. When we come back, I'll just read some messages. Kofi Adams would wrap everything up for us. And then I guess that we can call it a day.
No, we can't.
Because some of the things. Okay, so
like what?
Well,
like the PLC's involvement in giving the high capacity
all right,
charges.
We don't give capacity charges to
hold on a second.
EPAs.
It's until it is commissioned. So let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. This is Inside Page. I can tell you that it wasn't just heated on air, but it's even heated, very heated discussions off air. But that's the beauty of what we do here. It's about expression of opinion, agree, disagree, agree, disagree. But anyway, this is Inside Page. We're looking at DUMSOR phenomenon. We're shedding load. I mean, at least for now, somebody from Official Dome has confirmed that we're shedding load. But he says sooner rather than later, in the next few weeks, we'll be back on track. Kofi Adams has issues, and he says, tell us the truth. You're shedding load, and that's it. Nanaya says it's the same thing as DUMSOR. Kojo Poku is not too comfortable with the use of DUMSOR because it says it's not exactly what happened some time back. But anyway, so that's where we are. Now, Honorable Kofi Adams, let me come to you because Kojo Poku has said quite a number of things that you want to respond to. Please go ahead.
Truly so. Kojo tried to do as the gymnastics of the dollar exchange rate and then the fundamentals thing in DUMSOR, trying to give us political definition of DUMSOR and DUMSOR. And like we try to all agree here, DUMSOR is DUMSOR. DUMSOR is DUMSOR. But clearly, he talked about payment for excess capacity.
Yes.
And this information, I don't know where they get it from. And
Well,
it was started.
somebody says you're not an expert in energy. So
It
why,
was
why are you
started.
talking?
It
Who
was
said that?
started. Well,
So one of the listeners.
I've not presented myself
As an expert. Thank you.
But at least I've worked closely in that industry for quite some time.
Right.
And that was why I knew many things that we have done. For example, from the boss perspective, when we were struggling to build the pipeline to carry gas from the Western Corridor, I know a little about, and you don't need to present yourself only as an expert to be able to analyze issues that we go through.
Right.
But you see, these issues of payment for excess capacity, we have heard it again and again. And so we decided not to leave it on the street.
Okay.
Parliament is the house of record. There you cannot come and lie.
Right.
When you come to Parliament and you speak, you have to present your facts.
Right.
Dr. Baumia outside could present any figure and walk away freely. And people can quote same on sometimes many platforms, including even here, and nobody will take them on. Right. But when you come to Parliament, you have to speak truth. Because there you will be taken on. When the former finance minister appeared before us to answer a question as to how much excess capacity has been paid, nowhere did he mention a figure anywhere closer to what Dr. Baumia and some of his apologies have been putting out there as excess capacity that was paid. When he was further asked to state the institutions to which or companies that this excess capacity was paid for, we realized that it included, among others, payment for fuel supplied by some companies other than companies that the IPPs that have contract to generate, for which reason they were telling us that's why they were paying excess capacity. So even with what the finance minister presented to us in Parliament, which was way, way lower, unfortunately, I was trying to download the answer, but because of network problem, it wasn't coming, which was way, way low. In that answer was payment for fuel to companies other than companies they have signed agreement with to produce power for us to purchase. So, Kojo, let's take note of that. Again, when Kojo was talking about the plants that are unavailable, and he mentioned TICO, he said, oh, TICO is 340. Yes, it's 340 installed capacity. But TICO, the available capacity for TICO is not 340.
It's usually less.
It's less.
It's usually
and
less,
since February of 2023, it's been less. It's been 170. So the unavailability of TICO is not just something that happens within these, 6 weeks that we are experiencing this situation. It's been unavailable since February of 2023. The available capacity has been 170. That point must be in the same way. If you take Akosombo installs capacity is 1,020. But the available capacity is 960. So he conveniently quotes what is the installed capacity to do his calculation and say, oh, because that is not available, if you take it out, no. I believe he knows that in the industry, that is not how the calculation is done. You don't use installed capacity to do your calculation. Another point that must be clearly made is that the inefficiencies in ECG, which was very much lowered under the NDC administration, which he claimed they inherited mess, was about 23%. The losses.
It was 21.
Yeah, no, I mean the total losses, commercial, technical and all.
It was 21.
So 21%. Yeah. Thank you. I didn't even know that.
It was 10, 11, 10 for technical, 11 for commercial.
Okay. Thank you. So 21% added together. Today, it is more than 34%. So if you inherited 21% losses and you have supervised losses to increase from 21 to 34 and over, and you tell me that you have fixed a mess? Is that how we fix mess? Is it not the same thing like the Baumia dollar and exchange rate situation that is being drawn on us now? But don't also forget that when you pay your bill, If you walk to any vendor and you buy electricity bill, you are paying for the fuel they use to generate the power. You pay for it. It's part of the bill that you pay.
That's the energy charge.
Yes. The transmission, you pay for it.
Transmission service charge.
Services, you pay for it.
Yeah.
So it is not like you are not paying for it. You pay for it, but they are not paying for it. You, Moru, you are paying for it. I pay for it. Nanaya pays for it. He, Kojopoku, pays for it. But the one who receives the money is not paying those persons who are providing that services.
Why?
Even indeed in the bills that you pay, they have factored about 23 or 24% of the ECG losses in that bill.
The allowable is 21%.
Well, now it's about 23, 24%.
They shouldn't have put, because the allowable is 21.
Well, I'm telling you, the level of inefficiency, corruption, and what have you, now it's gone.
So we pay for it.
We are paying for losses.
There's an allowable loss level.
Really?
Yes.
Why 21? That's a bit high.
Because we factor in the...
No, I'll come to you, but why 21? He sounds more like an expert, isn't it? Sorry? He sounds more like an expert.
Well, every time you have
your microphone was actually off.
Let him.
Okay, please. So, Boru. So we pay for them.
We are paying for all these inefficiencies are part of what we are paying
anything
for.
Beyond the 21, we shouldn't pay.
They decided to jump it from the 23%, 24% that we have agreed to pay, and now are heaping on us 34% and over inefficiencies.
All put in the tariff.
And the worst part was that this cash waterfall mechanism that was agreed upon, we said, well, we know there are inefficiencies, we know there are challenges, and that we've introduced other things to be able to raise money like ESLA and the rest to deal with some debt. But ECG, when you take the power and you sell, whatever it is that you receive, we have all sat together and agreed that this much should go to Kojopoku, this much should go to Nanaya, this much should come to Moru, this much should come to me. So we don't leave somebody sitting in the corner somewhere and determining that, I will call Kojopoku because he wears blue, red, and white. Let me pay him only and leave the rest to be suffering. That system, we agreed on it in 2016.
It takes away the discretionary.
It takes away the discretionary. But this government came in and reintroduced those discretionary things where they sit at the Ministry of Finance and decide who gets paid and who doesn't get paid. That's bastardizing the cash. Exactly. That was also completely wrong. Then it's been made worse recently when PURC brought their report the validation report on the cash waterfall mechanisms for January 2024. That monies that ECG collected, that's about 820,450,000 Ghana cedis.
What's happened to it?
And if you feed it into the cash waterfall mechanism, everybody was expected to receive something.
Okay.
They ended up.
And their percentages also allotted.
Their percentages allotted. For example, VRA was to have 9.41%. BUI was to have 16.41%. BXC Solar 0.54%. Mine Energy 0.56%. Safisana 0.01%. Early Power 0.20%. GMPC Service Charge 24.30%. GNGC, that's Ghana Gas, 14.01%. The VRA, NGAS plus WAPCO, that one was 0.00%. The regulatory levies for PURC, Energy Commission, Ministry of Energy, and Pro-Poor policy. This thing also that they have even reduced. It used to be about 50 units. Now they've brought it down to 30. So virtually, even if you switch on just 2 bulbs, you are off the lifeline system. That is what this government have done. So, and then ECG had 20.17% and Gridco 6.32%. Do you know that ECG, what is due them? They paid themselves fully, paid a few other ones fully, and kept the rest of the money. They refused
But
to apply.
there's some money with the Ministry of Finance.
The ministry is supposed to just do some top up.
Yes,
the ministry is supposed
about
to do
200
about
million.
200,
Yes.
200 million,
Million.
310,580.
Disregard to the mechanism which we all have agreed should guide
Exactly.
the payment. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
So
Kofi, let me now go
failing to do that has
also-
resulted in the further challenges that these IPPs and others are facing.
Well, you know, this document,
you have the final take
price
before we
water
leave.
fork mechanism problem and the PULC problem. Look, Mr. Dubeik Mohammed has gone to the presidency, offered explanation to why the problem. Parliament has a subpoena power. The subcommittee on energy should call him.
I've heard Samuel Okudzeto say
Well, that's
that
fine.
would
They should
subpoena
call him and he will give them the explanation if they want to advise otherwise. But let me please correct a few things that my brother said. Look, my brother, there is what you call installed capacity and dependable capacity, not available capacity. No, it's not. Nanaya, please stop that. Dependable, we are talking technical, so let's educate our listeners. Dependable, every figure I gave was dependable power, not installed. I gave you.
What's the difference between available and dependable?
Okay, so installed. What he was explaining, when you install a capacity,
Let's say 330.
not all of it is dependable. So not all of it is available. But the word is dependable, not available. I'm just trying to correct that. So, that's fine. You can.
Well, the document
we can always use other words, but let me. Every word I have. Okay, let's agree.
You see, no, Kojo. You don't have monopoly over this industry.
Okay, so let's agree it's available.
The terms that other institutions, for example, PULC have used when they appear before the Energy and Mines Committee.
It's available.
Sometimes some of us attend as friends of committees to listen.
It's available.
Thank you.
So that's fine. So the available capacity, all the power I came out, it's available power. 230 for Ameri, it's available power. Ameri installed is 250. 230 is available power.
I didn't mention
No,
Ameri.
I'm just saying to you that the three.
Tico.
No,
I mentioned
but I'm going to get there.
specifically.
Tico
Ameri is 0
340
now.
installed. Tico installed is 340. Available is 320.
Okay. Yes, of course. And you
Yes.
said
No,
all the 340 was not available. That was what
Sorry?
you said. That was what I was challenging you on. I was challenging you on Tico that you said 340 is not available.
So the figure of 870.
You think 20 is more.
Okay,
so if you have 20 megawatts,
look,
by area will not go.
Please do the calculation based on available. Let's see whether we'll come to the same 850.
If you have
it's 870 as compared to 850.
So
20 will have 20. So he's saying 26.
Yeah, but if you have 20 megawatts, if you have 20 megawatts, my area will not go.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
20 megawatts is not a small.
Honorable, I agree. Let me now make this point.
It's not a small.
Please go ahead.
Mr. Honorable Kofi Adam says that the president, we have never stood in Parliament and told them, and the amount we told them in Parliament for excess capacity spend is different from what has been put out there. Let me repeat. On the June 18, 2021, the Honorable Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is reported in the graphic to have made this statement in Parliament that the government has paid $937.5 million
when
to
Dr.
three
Bawumia
IPPs.
was quoting billions.
My brother.
Dr. Bawumia was quoting billions.
In 3 years,
Dr.
the
Bawumia was
government
quoting
spent
billions.
the government spent close to $1 billion to 3 IPPs. And these are the numbers that were given, and these are the breakdown. 347 million to AXA.
Okay.
359 million to Car Power. And 251 million to SemPower. Now, Nanaya will sit here and say that, it's only when plants come on and that's when you pay excess capacity. It's true. But the problem that there were excess capacity in 2017 was that these plants have 100% take or pay. So when they are on and you are only taking 20% of their capacity, 80% you have to pay them.
I see.
You understand? Now,
but if they are on, it means they have been commissioned. If they are on, it means they have been commissioned.
But hold on. Yes, but
if they are on, it means they have been commissioned.
And
if they have been commissioned, you have to use it.
Commission plans.
Being on means that it's been commissioned. Or what is your understanding of commission?
Okay, that's fine.
Which is
But
excess power, because you see, once you are commissioned, your charge is in the tariff.
But hold on, but the excess, the charge is not, because we have not, it's only used and the consumer.
No,
the consumer, hold on.
Once you are commissioned,
is the capacity charges.
It is in the
You don't.
it is
I think you should
there.
just. Please allow him.
What you
Can
pay is
I
capacity.
Nanaya,
You don't pay as if they've
I know we're going to
generated.
debate this forever.
No, we can't
Please go
debate
ahead.
it.
No, please
There's
go
a
ahead.
fact.
Yeah,
We
please go
can't
ahead.
debate it.
Please go ahead.
The government
We have
did make
just a
a
minute, I
payment.
beg you.
Nanaya is saying, and Kubiaram is saying that they don't know which payment government has made.
Yes.
The government is on record in
I am
Parliament.
saying you are
to have
presenting
said
wrong
that-
figures
Hold on.
outside.
It's not a
You
figure.
And different figures in Parliament.
Yes.
No, but he's saying,
Honorable,
he's
you
just saying
know
that this
what
figure
they are
has
paying.
been
What
dismissed.
amount did
You
Laonia
see-
say?
you know what they are paying.
Oh my God.
Laumia
Nanaya.
was mentioning bill.
Nanaya,
It's
what
unfortunate
about
No, but he's talking-
my
you are
system
making
is not
talk.
working today.
No, but he's making
Everybody
a
said-
point.
Nanaya,
Everybody
let me
has
finish,
a chance to
please.
talk. Everybody has a chance to talk.
One